You want her to chase you forever. Then stop thinking about what to do to impress her and start becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to. Because attraction isn't built on tricks, texts, or tactics. It's built on how you make her Ev feel. And the feeling that keeps her coming back isn't excitement, it's F certainty. It's the energy she gets when she knows she's in the presence of someone who's grounded, focused, and unshakable in who he is. See, most men chase validation. They chase attention. They try to perform, to prove, to please. But women don't fall for the man who performs. They fall for the man who asks commands, not through arrogance, not through control, but through clarity. Clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, clarity in how he shows up every single day. When you have direction, when your energy says, I know where I'm going, and I don't need permission, that's when she feels something she can't explain. That's when her instincts say, this man is different. You want her to chase you. Then stop chasing her. Start chasing your potential. Start chasing mastery. Build something that excites you so deeply that you don't have time to wonder whether she's texting back. The truth is, women are drawn to gravity. They're pulled toward the man who moves with intention, who's not desperate for connection because he's already fulfilled within himself. You become magnetic when you stop needing and start as being. The feeling you need to trigger in her is a safety, not the kind that says, I'll never leave you, but the kind that says, I don't need you to make me whole. Because safety doesn't come from promises. It comes from presence. When she sees that you're calm when others panic, that you listen when others talk, that you act when others hesitate, she starts to feel something rare. And when a woman feels safe, she opens, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That's when the chase begins, not because she's desperate, but because she trusts what she feels around you. Most men confuse intensity with connection. They think if they create drama, if they play hard to get, they'll stay mysterious. But the truth is, mystery doesn't come from being unpredictable. It comes from being readable. It's when she can't quite define you because you're still defining yourself. You're evolving. You're not stagnant. Every day you're becoming more disciplined, more focused, more intentional. And that evolution, it's intoxicating because she doesn't just see you as you are. She sees the man you're becoming. You want her to chase you forever. Then stop asking, how do I keep her interested? And start asking, how do I stay interesting? Interest fades when you stop growing. When your habits, your mindset, your ambition freeze, she stops feeling that pulse of progress. Growth is masculine energy. It's motion. And motion creates attraction. When you move forward with purpose, she feels pulled in. Not because you're trying to get her attention, but because your energy demands it. And here's the truth. Women don't fall in love with potential. They fall in love with proof. So stop telling her what you're going to do and start showing her what you've already done. Consistency beats charisma every single time. Because the man who's consistent, who follows through, who lives with integrity, that man triggers the deepest emotion a woman can feel: respect. And when she respects you, she'll never stop chasing the experience of being around you. So don't try to make her feel excitement. Don't try to make her feel butterflies. Make her feel grounded. Make her feel inspired. Make her feel safe enough to admire you. Because once a woman admires you, she won't just want you, she'll want to belong to your world. And when you built a world that's worth belonging to, that's when she'll chase you, not out of fear of losing you, but out of desire to grow with you. Attraction begins when you stop trying to prove your worth and start embodying it. Most people spend their energy performing, showing off, exaggerating, or overcompensating, hoping that someone will finally notice them. But that energy always gives off desperation. When you perform, you're sending a message that says, I need you to validate me. And that energy repels. The truth is, certainty is far more powerful than performance. Certainty is quiet. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to convince. It simply exists and people feel it. When you walk into a room grounded in who you are, your presence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. Certainty isn't arrogance. It's not pretending to be confident or faking dominance. It's knowing what you stand for and refusing to betray that. It's being okay with being misunderstood because you're not trying to be liked. You're trying to be real. The man who operates from certainty doesn't chase. He attracts because he's not trying to win approval. He's living in alignment with his values. He knows what he wants out of life, what kind of person he is, and what kind of person he refuses to become. That level of self-awareness radiates strength. Women don't fall for the loudest man in the room. They fall for the man who moves with quiet conviction. When you're certain, you don't overreact. You don't play games. You don't need to control outcomes because you trust yourself to handle whatever happens. That kind of calm confidence is magnetic. It communicates to her that you're not emotionally fragile. You're not seeking her validation to feel whole. She feels a deep sense of stability around you, and stability is what makes attraction safe to explore. Because when a woman feels safe in your presence, she can open herself without fear. Certainty builds that safety faster than any words or gestures ever could. Certainty also comes from clarity of purpose. You can't be certain about who you are if you don't know where you're going. A man who has direction in life moves differently. His energy is focused, his decisions are deliberate, and his presence feels intentional. He doesn't drift. From one moment to another, he's building something bigger than himself. That's the energy of leadership, and it's deeply attractive. It tells her that she can trust your decisions, your vision, and your steadiness under pressure. People confuse certainty with confidence, but they're not the same. Confidence can be faked. Certainty can't. Confidence says, I believe I can do it. Certainty says, I'll figure it out even if I don't know how yet. That's a completely different energy. One depends on conditions. The other depends on identity. When you develop that inner foundation through discipline, through keeping promises to yourself, through doing hard things consistently, you stop performing for attention because you don't need it anymore. A man rooted in certainty doesn't seek validation from her eyes. He validates himself through his actions, his progress, and his alignment with his principles. And that's exactly what creates the kind of unshakable energy that pulls people in without trying. The feeling that makes a woman stay, commit, and keep chasing isn't excitement, it's safety. Excitement fades. It's fleeting. It's the initial spark that might get her attention, but it never holds her heart. Safety, on the other hand, is what makes her trust the connection enough to invest in it. When she feels safe around you, emotionally, mentally, and energetically, she can let down her guard. She can relax. She doesn't feel like she has to play a role or protect herself. That's when real attraction deepens. It's not about being predictable or boring. It's about being stable. Stability is the foundation of lasting desire. Safety doesn't mean you're always agreeing with her or trying to make her comfortable. It's not weakness. It's presence. It's your ability to stay calm when emotions rise, to hold space when she's vulnerable, and to stay grounded when things get uncomfortable. Most men panic when emotions get intense. They shut down, withdraw, or try to fix everything too fast. But safety isn't created by fixing. It's created by understanding. When you can listen without judgment, stay steady in your tone, and stay in control of your own emotions, she starts to feel that she can trust your energy. That trust is what allows her to open up. The kind of safety that creates attraction is born from your own emotional control. When you can regulate yourself, your tone, your reactions, your presence, you send a message. You can trust me, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. You don't let stress, anger, or frustration control you. You don't lash out or disappear when things get tough. You stay centered. And that consistency triggers something deep in her biology. It tells her she's in the presence of strength, not the loud, dominant kind, but the kind that feels dependable. Like a storm could come and you'd still be standing. When she feels safe with you, she doesn't need to test you. She doesn't need to play games to see if you'll react. That's what women do when they don't trust a man's emotional strength. They test boundaries because they need to see if he's solid. But when she senses that you're already stable, that your confidence doesn't depend on her approval, those tests fade away. She starts to surrender to the connection because it feels secure. Safety also comes from authenticity. When you're transparent about what you want, what you stand for, and where you're going, she feels like she can rely on your word. You're not unpredictable. You're intentional. You don't change your tone or personality depending on who's watching. That integrity creates safety because the moment she realizes you're the same person in private as you are in public, that you don't hide behind an image or ego, she relaxes around you. Most men think women chase excitement, the highs, the passion, the rush. But what they really crave is peace within that passion. They want to feel alive as and secure. They want a man who brings intensity without chaos, passion without volatility, dominance without arrogance. And that comes from the calm, composed energy of a man who knows himself and doesn't lose himself trying to impress anyone else. You can't make someone chase you by running after them. The more you chase, the faster they run. The secret isn't to pursue her, it's to pursue your potential. When your focus shifts from needing her attention to building your purpose. Everything about your energy changes. You move differently. You speak differently. You start radiating confidence that doesn't depend on anyone else. And that's exactly what draws people in. Because when a man is obsessed with growth, when he's fully immersed in becoming the best version of himself, he becomes magnetic. He's not trying to attract. He just naturally does. Most men lose themselves trying to gain someone's affection. They start bending their standards, changing their habits, and forgetting their mission just to get noticed. But that kind of energy screams insecurity. It says, I don't believe I'm enough as I am, so I need to prove it. The truth is, you never win by proving. You win by becoming. The moment you start chasing your potential instead of her, you shift from scarcity to abundance. You stop acting like she's the prize and start realizing that you are. Not because you think you're better, but because you're investing in yourself, your growth, your discipline, and your purpose. A man who's living in alignment with his goals doesn't have time for drama. He's too focused on becoming stronger, wiser, and more capable. That focus builds respect. It shows that you value your time and your energy. And when a woman sees that, she feels something rare, admiration. Because deep down, every woman wants to be part of something greater than herself. When she sees you building, when she sees your passion, your dedication, your hunger for progress, she's drawn to that fire. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because your purpose gives her something to believe in. When you chase your potential, you start developing qualities that can't be faked. Discipline, patience, resilience. You start holding yourself to a higher standard. You begin to attract women who match your energy instead of drain it. And ironically, the one you wanted to chase you will start doing exactly that because she'll feel that shift in your energy. You're no longer seeking validation. You're creating value. You're no longer trying to be chosen. You're choosing yourself. Your potential is your power. Every hour you spend on your craft, your fitness, your mindset, your vision, those are deposits into your confidence account. The more you build, the less approval you need. And that's when attraction becomes effortless. Because women aren't drawn to the man who's chasing. They're drawn to the man who's becoming. The one who's constantly improving, setting goals, executing them, and carrying himself with quiet certainty. That's the kind of energy that makes her wonder, what's he building? Where's he going? And once she starts asking those questions, that's when the chase begins, not because you demanded it, because your evolution inspired it. Attraction thrives on growth. It's the motion, the evolution, the constant becoming that keeps energy alive between two people. When you stop growing, the dynamic becomes stagnant. The conversations become predictable, the energy dulls, and what once felt magnetic slowly fades. Growth is what keeps you interesting not just to her, but to yourself. It's what gives your presence depth, texture, and direction. A man who's always learning, improving, and expanding his world carries a kind of vitality that can't be manufactured. It's not about being perfect. It's about being in motion. That motion communicates progress, and progress is deeply attractive. Growth isn't just about career success or external achievements. It's about internal evolution. It's about becoming more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware, more patient, and more disciplined. When you grow internally, your energy becomes grounded yet dynamic. You're not reactive, you're responsive. You're not trying to control everything. You're learning how to navigate with purpose. That kind of maturity stands out instantly because it's rare. Most people stay stuck in the same emotional loops, repeating the same patterns and expecting different outcomes. But when you break that cycle and show that you're capable of adapting, evolving, and learning, you set yourself apart. Women feel growth. They notice it in your language, your habits, your consistency. When she sees that you're not the same person you were 6 months ago, that you've been investing in yourself, sharpening your mind, refining your focus, she starts to feel inspired by your presence. Growth creates mystery, not because you're hiding, but because you're expanding faster than she can predict. Every time she's around you, she discovers something new. That unpredictability keeps her intrigued because she can sense that you're a man in motion, not one standing still. Growth also creates polarity. It builds tension, the good kind, because when you're moving forward, you challenge her to grow too. You don't have to say it, your energy does. She sees your dedication and begins to question her own comfort zones. That's how relationships stay alive, not by holding on tightly, but by moving together towards something greater. A man who grows gives a woman something to respect, something to look up to. Respect fuels desire, and desire keeps the connection alive far longer than fleeting chemistry ever could. The most attractive thing about growth is that it's never finished. You're constantly refining, constantly chasing excellence without needing perfection. And that mindset keeps you interesting forever. Because there's always a next level, always a new skill to learn, a new challenge to conquer, a new version of yourself to uncover. That kind of drive keeps your energy magnetic. You become the kind of man who doesn't need to impress with words or gestures because your evolution speaks for itself. Growth isn't just about achieving more. It's about embodying more depth, more awareness, more peace, more purpose. That's the kind of energy that keeps her chasing, not because she's afraid to lose you, but because she's excited to witness who you'll become next. Respect is the foundation of lasting desire. Without it, attraction fades no matter how strong it once was. You can spark chemistry through charm or looks, but respect is what keeps that connection alive over time. It's what makes her admire you, trust you, and continue to be drawn to you long after the initial excitement fades. Respect isn't earned through words or promises, it's earned through consistent action. It's the result of integrity, the alignment between what you say and what you do. When a man's actions match his words, his presence commands attention without him having to demand it. Respect is built in the small, quiet moments. It's in how you handle disappointment, how you manage pressure, how you treat people who can't give you anything in return. When she sees that your principles don't bend under stress, that you don't compromise your values for temporary gain, she begins to trust your character. That trust becomes admiration. And admiration transforms ordinary attraction into something deeper, because she's not just drawn to how you make her feel. She's drawn to who you are. Consistency plays a huge role here. Anyone can be impressive for a week. Anyone can talk about their goals, their discipline, their vision. But few can live those values day after day, even when no one's watching. When you show that your work ethic, your focus, and your emotional steadiness don't depend on external validation, that's when she starts to view you differently. Respect isn't about perfection, it's about reliability. It's about her knowing that when you say you'll do something, you will. That reliability creates security, and security deepens desire. Integrity also means standing by your boundaries. A man without boundaries can't be respected because he communicates that he's willing to abandon himself for approval. When you hold your standards, not arrogantly, but with quiet conviction, you show her that you value yourself. That self-respect sets the tone for how she will treat you. If you tolerate inconsistency, you'll receive it. If you hold yourself to a higher standard, people will naturally rise to meet it. Boundaries are not about control. They're about self-leadership. And leadership is deeply attractive because it gives her something solid to trust. Another dimension of respect is emotional control. When you can manage your reactions, stay calm in conflict, and express yourself without attacking or withdrawing, you show mastery over yourself. That control isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about channeling them with intention. It shows maturity and strength. Women are naturally drawn to stability, not volatility. When she sees that she can rely on your composure, that you don't get easily shaken, her trust deepens, and with trust comes lasting attraction. Ultimately, respect turns desire into devotion, because when she respects you, she doesn't just want to be with you. She wants to align herself with your vision, your values, your world. She doesn't chase you out of fear of losing you. She chases you because she knows that being near a man with integrity makes her feel stronger, safer, and more alive. At the end of it all, everything you want in connection, attraction, and love comes down to who you choose to become. You don't need to manipulate emotions or chase anyone's approval. You need to embody strength, purpose, and consistency, the kind that inspires trust and admiration. When you build certainty within yourself, create safety in your energy, chase your own potential, keep evolving, and live with integrity, you don't have to run after love. Love starts to move toward you. The chase ends not because she loses interest, but because she finds what she's been looking for in your presence. A man who knows himself, respects himself, and walks his path with conviction. Thank you for listening, for investing your time in growth, and for being the kind of person who doesn't settle for average. Keep becoming, keep evolving, and never forget, the most powerful attraction you can ever create is becoming someone you chase yourself.